day didn't start at 0. It started.
Whoop. Hello. Oh, there we go. What's up, people? Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? How you all doing? You having a nice evening and all that? Ooh. Turn down the music a little bit so I can hear myself think. There we go. Oh, let me fix the camera too. Okay, whole setup was a little bit messed up. There we go. What's up, people? How you all doing? Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Alright, so for the people that are new to the stream, if this is your first time, I do welcome all of you. So this is the weekly CADA Bootcamp. CADA being the school that I go to. And so it'll be 1.5 hours of me instructing you in a different subject. And today we're doing sculpting. I'm going to be your instructor. My name is Onua and I'm a student here at CADA, currently on my 4th semester. And I'm excited for today because it's sculpting and I love to do that. So we'll have a lot of fun. Here we go. So just to set some ground rules before we start, just know that all questions are more than welcome. This is like a completely beginner friendly stream. So if you have a question, there's probably a couple other people that have the same question. So just do ask when you have one. It just helps out the stream. Okay. Let me do it this way. There we go. Okay, so another thing I like to do on the stream is I like to use emotes to communicate with all of you, because communication is kind of why we're doing it live, right? So we can talk to each other and I can help you all and you can help me and we can like have this back and forth, right? So if you're completely new to the stream, put your hand up in the chat. So the way I do that is I just emote. If you've been here before, you can hit me with a I've been here before in the chat, or just hit me with a blue smiley or something. Let me see how we're doing. I want people to use the chat as much as possible. It just makes the stream a lot better. You know, if you're stuck on something, if I go too fast on something, just use the chat, use it. Don't hesitate. Alright, some new people, that's good to see. So do not worry, I'll take you all through it from the very beginning. Alright, and some familiar faces as well, good to see. Okay. Y'all excited to do some sculpting? Hold up. I'll give a little sneak peek on what the concept is for today. Hold up. Okay. No, okay, so, alright, so enough of the intros and all that. Let's just get into it. I mean, we're doing a Pokemon today, a cute one. Got a suggestion from my lovely girlfriend. She's a big Pokemon fan, so we're doing another one today. And we're not doing Samuel L. Jackson, probably a little bit too difficult. But we're gonna be sculpting a little Pokemon here. So that will be fun. But first, like usual, I go through all the hotkeys and all that for the people that are completely new. So once again, if you're completely new to Blender, I mean, is there anyone that's completely new to Blender? Hit the chat with a little, I'm completely new to Blender, with a little hand. Yeah, this would be very difficult, yeah. Nah, we're doing something way simpler. Just a little penguin guy. People up, yeah. Okay, regardless if there's any new people or not, I do always go through the hotkeys and the basic stuff every time. So once you boot up your Blender, you should be met with a window kind of like this. Never done Blender stuff, completely new. I'm completely new to all of this. Alright, great. So once you boot up your 3D software, you should be met with a window kind of like this. You all might have a little bit of a different version, but 99% of it should be the same. So in the bottom left corner, you'll see a little mouse, and right there you can see the keys I am pressing live on the screen. You won't have this, it's just for me. So if I write my name, oh no, you can see it right there. So this is basically our sandbox, our viewport. This is where everything happens. This is where we see everything, the main window. And to navigate around this main window, what we do is we hold the middle mouse on our mouse. Okay, that orbits us around the scene. If we want to pan around, we add a shift key to that. So shift middle mouse to pan around. And then lastly, you can zoom in and out by scrolling on your scroll wheel or holding control and then middle mouse and dragging. And you know, whatever you do, just please spam the keyboard, destroy the scene, don't worry about it. You can always close it, just don't save, and then open up Blender again and you'll be back to fresh. If you ever get lost somewhere and you can't find your way back, you can click the home key on your keyboard, or you can go to view and then you can click frame all or frame selected. Okay. So out here on the left side, we have the basic movement tools for the objects that you have selected. So you can select any object with left click, and then out here on the left, you can move it with the move tool, rotate it with the rotate tool, and scale it with the scale tool. Okay, so there's little arrows. These should be kind of self-explanatory. If you grab an arrow, you'll move it that way. Okay, not too complicated. There's these little boxes here, and that's basically, well, you move it on that plane. Okay, so this is like the flat kind of square, so I can't move it up if I grab that one, but I'll move it on the two other axes. Okay, enough of that. We'll get more into those things. Let's not make it too boring. So lastly, we have this outliner up here in the right. So let's say we make a piplup beak. We can select stuff and you see it will be highlighted out on the right. That's what we call the outliner. And you can also select stuff out here by left clicking. Okay, so if you ever lose something and you can't find piplup's beak for some reason, you can search for beak. And then it will come up. You can select it, click view, frame selected, and then you'll see it. Okay, so lastly, the menu under the outliner is called the properties menu, and that one is context sensitive, so it will change depending on what you have clicked. So if you click a light bulb, you'll get settings for the light bulb. If you click the cube, you'll get settings for the cube, and you might guess if you click the camera, you'll get settings for the camera in there. Okay, so lots of cool stuff in there. We might touch some of it today. But obviously Blender is kind of like the Swiss Army knife of 3D, so there's a lot of different options. You can do a lot of different things with the software. We can only cover a small amount today, and that's pretty much the goal of today's stream, right? From here you all can branch out and do whatever you feel like. Okay. Alright, so is everybody with me so far? Like, are we all in the software able to move around and zoom around and click stuff and move stuff? Give me a hand up in the chat if you are. So I'm doing that right now, so I'll put my hand up. I'm just making these little checkpoints throughout the stream so I know that everybody is with me. I don't want to lose anyone, so if something went too fast, if you're getting confused about anything, just let me know in the chat and I'll help you all out. Yes, okay, great. I promise I'll keep the boring stuff as minimal as I possibly can. But you know, 3D is also a little bit technical as well. So we gotta get through some stuff. Alright, good to see it. Alright, so as I mentioned before, Blender is used for a lot of different things. And you can see some of those things in the other live streams I've done. The next one in particular is called modeling, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And you can see the different tabs up here on the top of your screen. And today we're going to be using the sculpting tab. Okay, so we can just switch into that one right away. And the whole UI will change. Now the UI of Blender is very malleable. You can change it in whatever way you want. And by clicking this button, we basically just went into a preset, okay? So all the same stuff is in there in all of these layouts. They're just kind of pre-prepared for some stuff, okay? So we have all our brushes here. If you're on the newest version of Blender, you'll have all your brushes at the bottom, but it should be the same thing. Hello Clarissa, how you doing? Okay. So first of all, something I do like to do is I like to turn on the floor just so I don't get confused about where I am. And to do that, you just go up here to this little button. It's called show overlays. You click the little arrow and then you can turn on the floor. So I always do that. You can also not do it, doesn't really matter too much. So we'll have these brushes out here, but nothing is gonna work right away, and there's kind of like this little so before we start sculpting, and I do this every stream, we have to sit down for 1 minute and do like a little quick lesson about some technical stuff, and once you kind of get that, then the rest will make a lot more sense, okay? So we gotta talk about polygons and why we can't sculpt right away, okay? So in 3D, any kind of object you have is made out of polygons, okay? And a polygon is a face made up of points or corners, okay? So right now we have a face with 4 corners. And what we do in 3D is we just manipulate these corners, okay? So we just move them around. And we can't move anything around that doesn't have a corner. We can only move corners around. So if we need a detail, we need to add more points, okay? So if I go here, I can add more points with my modeling tools. So you see I'm kind of cutting into this cube, and now we have more points that we can move around. So this is a little bit jank for sculpting, right? Because, well, we can't really get that much detail with like 9 points or 20 points or whatever. So we can use a smart little feature made for sculpting called the remesh. And this is right here. So what it does is it just adds a bunch of points everywhere spread evenly on your model. And now if you take a draw brush, for example, you can click F to decrease or increase the brush size. You can start drawing on your mesh and you see something, but it's very jank, okay? Because it's still kind of a very low poly mesh is what you would call it. So a way to help that is we can go back into layout, we can right click and click shade smooth. So that'll kind of attempt to get rid of that faceted look by making the shading smooth in between them. So even though there's a hard corner, we'll kind of try to even out the lighting. But really what we need to do is we just gotta remesh with a higher resolution. So we go to remesh again, and then we gotta decrease the voxel size, because if we decrease the distance between all the points, we get more points, right? So we can start with like 0.03, click remesh, and now we can really see, if we go into edit mode, we can see that there's a lot more points. So if you hold down shift with any brush, you can smooth out the surface. And now you can actually draw on it, and it'll be kind of detailed. Okay. And now would be a good time to pull out your drawing tablet if you have one of those, with the little pen. It helps a lot because there's pressure sensitivity, and you can use that to control your brush strokes and all that. So you can just play around with the brushes right now. So if you just left click with a brush, you'll do the action. If you hold control, you'll do the opposite action, okay? So in this case, with the normal draw brush, just left clicking is gonna make your stroke add to the surface. Holding control is gonna decrease from the surface. Holding shift is gonna smooth the surface, okay? Those are the kind of hotkeys that you need to remember pretty much. And then what else do we have? We have this draw sharp brush. It's basically just the same one. It's just a little bit sharper. It's good for making creases, that kind of stuff. We got the flatten brush if you need to make a flat surface, or maybe the scrape one is better for that. You can see that it kind of scrapes, you know, like you can imagine how you would scrape off real clay and kind of get like a flat look for that. But one of the most useful brushes we have is actually the grab brush, and remember, you guys will have your brushes down at the bottom. I suggest you all just explore right now and mess up your model, just try a bunch of different things. But this one is very useful because we can make it very large by quickly pressing F and increasing the size, and then we can sort of change the proportions of whatever model we're working on. So that's super useful, and we'll be using this one a lot. Especially for sort of simplified, stylized models like this one. What's really important is like the overall shape and the sort of proportion of things. So it's very good to use the move brush here. Okay, next checkpoint. That is like the most technical we're gonna get on stream, and I completely get if anyone had problems with remeshing and all that. But right now I am able to sculpt on a remeshed model and things look fine. So if things are also kind of fine on your end, let me see a hand in the chat. So I'm doing okay. I'll put my hand up. And if you're also getting to this point and you're fine and you got no questions, things are making sense, put your hand up in the chat. So I got that, I'll put up. I just need to get people all the way here, and from here on out it's like a lot of just being creative, trying stuff. This can be a little bit of a mouthful if you're completely new to Blender. I do also recommend the modeling stream if you've never touched it before. Like, modeling is a great place to start using the software. Sculpting is also fine. Alright, great people. Let's get into it then. So, time for some creative talk. Okay, so to be honest, right, like some of the most important things about 3D sculpting has nothing to do with like the software, the hotkeys, how you use it. Like, it's all about base art principles. Like if you're using clay or digital, it doesn't matter too much. So really what we gotta focus on here is how do we stay true to the concept. And a good way to do that is breaking it down into the largest pieces and then going from there. So instead of starting with like 2 eyes or something like that, we should get the overall proportions down. And the biggest piece on this thing happens to be the head, right? So we can start with the head and then maybe put the body on it. And then from there we can put on the limbs and try to match the right proportion. So if we go back to our layout, now I'll just put a little pip loop up here that can stay on screen. And also I actually forgot to do that. If you're not part of the Discord, I do recommend it. I'll invite people, but I'll put the ref as well in the 3D Bootcamp chat. And the kind of goal at the end of the stream is for everybody to post however much they got to do in the 3D Bootcamp chat. It's always fun to look at what people have done. Yeah, here's what we did last time with Drifloon. So lots of submissions from there. So I do recommend joining the Discord. It is good fun. So I will invite people. Boop. So now there'll be a link in the chat and you guys can join, and then right here I'll also post the concept for today. So you can look at whatever, like there's so many, just search up pip loop on Google. There's like a lot of different references. I just found one that kind of looks a little bit more three-dimensional because it might be easier if you haven't sculpted before. So that one is right here. So I'll copy that one and I'll put it in the Discord chat. Today's concept, pip loop. Alright, back to Blender. So to start off with, using a cube for the head, like we could probably get around it by smoothing it a lot. If you ever accidentally go out of sculpt mode, it's because I'm not in sculpt mode. There we go. So we could get around just smoothing it a lot, but you know, it's not really gonna be the same. It's kind of weird. So instead of starting with a cube, what we can do is we click delete on our keyboard to get rid of it. We can go to the add menu, add, and then add a mesh, and we can click UV sphere, and that's a little bit closer to the head. So right click shade smooth, and there we basically have the head. Right, so we can go into the sculpt mode, and then we can remesh it if we need to. Because you can see it is still a little bit jagged. So if we want to, we don't really have to, but we can remesh it and then just smooth the surface a little bit. So I'm just using a large move brush and then just smoothing the surface. You can turn on symmetry if you don't want like a wonky mesh. And then we can kind of flatten it a little bit, because if you notice, like, yeah, it is a sphere, but it's also a little bit flat, like it's not a complete sphere. So we kind of flatten that a little bit. You can go back to the layout, and then we can just take it and move it up a little bit. Okay, good enough to start with. And let's just go through the whole process one more time to make it clear. And now I'll move on to the body. So add mesh UV sphere, right click shaded smooth, go to sculpting. I'm just clicking tab to go into edit mode. So in Blender there's a bunch of different modes. Object mode is the one that's in layout, where you can just move the objects around. Sculpt mode is, well, the sculpting mode, where you get all your brushes. Edit mode is the modeling mode, where you can edit your mesh with some more rigid but very cool tools. Okay, so if we wanted to, we could do some crazy stuff like extrude polygons here. So this is all from the modeling stream. That's also very cool, and you can like do a bunch of different, you know, stuff. Okay, so regardless, I'm just clicking tab. It's a quick way to go into edit mode. So if you ever off-center something, so now I moved it here, but I actually wanted it in the middle where the body is supposed to be, you have your options out here where you can see your location of your things. So you can try to move it into place, and you can see the number up here in the y-axis change, but you can also just click it and click 0, and the x location, click it and click 0, and then you're back to the center. So we can go into sculpt mode here. So remesh it 0.03. Oops. Smooth it out, and then we gotta kind of get that body shape by using the moon brush. And no worries, Malcolm. So I forgot to turn on my symmetry, so just click Ctrl Z a bunch of times to undo. If you want to redo, it is Ctrl Shift Z. So Ctrl Z to undo, and then turn on my symmetry one more time. So I'm just gonna push it around and smooth it. Sometimes this is easier if you have a lower poly mesh, and then you can always smooth it later. If you want to quickly jump from the body to the head, you can click Alt Q, and you see now I can deform the head, deform the body. You can kind of do that. So if you ever get in doubt about the shape, you can look up some different references from different angles. So canvas locked. Oops. So this one is kind of good for a side view, sort of, so we can kind of see the shape from that view. So it needs to be a little bit more bottom heavy. So this neck is way too big. Move it down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Alt Q to go to the head. Sure, let's say that's fine for now. And then we could go through the whole process again to add another piece of clay. We don't really want to do that. So first of all, we can move both of them up a little bit. We can also scale this one down because it's too big, for example. So we could scale it down with the scale tool, move it. We can hold down Shift, select both of them to move both of them at the same time. Okay. Instead of adding a new piece of clay from here, because it's a lot of work every time, we can just click any piece and then click Shift D to duplicate it. I haven't tried Nomad Sculpt, but I've tried a lot of different modeling and sculpting software, and it's pretty much all the same stuff. The thing about Blender is once you get into it, because it is a tool that has a lot of tools within it, you can start combining all the things and it becomes very cool. But for basic stuff like what we're doing right now, it's pretty much the same, I would say. Not much changes. So we can go into sculpting here. So now I'm just going to try to make that little collar that he has. So the important thing to begin with is just to get, obviously this doesn't look like Piploop at all, right? But once you get down some clay on your screen or some mesh, it becomes easier to gauge and know where to go. So he has some kind of thing on his back. I'm not really sure what that is. We'll just put it in. Okay, good enough. So like, yeah, you were asking about what's the difference between Nomad, Sculpt, and Blender. So I'll actually show one of the differences here now. So if we wanted to add feet, right, we would copy out by clicking Shift D. We can copy out the main body here, scale it down, whatever. Go into sculpt mode, pull out a foot or something. Okay, fair enough. And then we could just do exactly the same thing on the other side, but it probably wouldn't look very symmetrical and all that. So in Blender we can use the modifiers, okay? So a modifier is just a thing that modifies whatever you have selected, and you access those in the properties menu. So what we're essentially going to do here is we're going to take this leg and duplicate it over to the other side. So we search for mirror, okay, and then we gotta select an object to mirror on the other side off, okay. So if we select the body, boom, the foot will appear magically on the other side. It's quite cool, and it will update live. So that was in here, the modifiers, you can add it right there. And then you can rotate the foot as you want. And then if you copy this, there will also be a mirror modifier in that thing. What's up, Katrin? So we can try to cut off the bottom of the feet so they don't look like loaves of bread. And we can use some other tools in here. Let's try the box trim maybe. Okay, was that a bad idea? It's fine. Okay, that one seems a little bit dangerous, so maybe don't do that. Almost crashed my PC. You can just use the flatten brush as well, doesn't matter. We can maybe increase the resolution a little bit so it's not so heavy. Let's just do like 0.08. Alt Q to switch between the things. So even if something has to be connected, like these legs have to be connected to the body, you can still sculpt them separately in the beginning and then always connect them later, okay? So this might be a good time to turn off the symmetry so we can actually manipulate this properly. Okay, so it's time to take a little bit of a step back and look at our reference, because there's a lot of things that are off, but that's the thing, right? Like you put something down and then you fix it. So I can see that our shape is like off. It's kind of like not hitting that same little cute blob type of feel. So you gotta adjust, Move these out. So shift select. This whole thing has to be You can also try the inflate brush Yeah, it kind of inflates stuff like a balloon would. If you hold it down, it'll deflate, or hold control down, it'll deflate, so do the opposite. Kind reminder, save the file. That is a very good tip. So I'll click save as right here. So I'll call it Sculpt Bootcamp Loop. Okay, that was a very good reminder. So kind of looks goofy, but that is what it is, right? So things will look goofy for a while. You just gotta get over that little hump. So I'm just switching between the modes, and I'm gonna try to fix that shape. Okay, so maybe adding some arms would help at this point. It still has to be lower down to the ground. Okay. Could also add a beak at this point. So just duplicate this thing and move it forward, scale it down. Sometimes adding facial features would also help you kind of gauge what's going on with your sculpture. So okay, so I guess this is a good time for a checkpoint. How are people doing? Are you all able to sort of, well, have you gotten something like this on screen where you're basically doing what we call a blockout, right? You're putting in your base shapes and all that, and you're not having too much trouble with that. So again, I have that on my screen, so I'll put my hand up. If you have that on your screen, please put your hand up. And if you have any questions, please do ask as well. That's what I'm here for. That's why we do it live. So y'all can ask and I can answer. Okay, that's good. If you're having trouble, that is okay. Just let me know and I'll help you all through it. You know, I don't expect anyone to get a perfect result out of today's stream. It's just literally just meant to be a get into Blender and kind of get a little bit familiar with how stuff works in here. So the eyes, they go like somewhat here. We can indicate them if we want. Like, it's gonna look a little bit weird, of course, if we're not painting them. But it can also help gauge if something is wrong in the proportions, and I already see that it is. So what's important with this character is that it has like a huge head and then like a very thin point right under the head. So we kind of want to capture that. It's kind of what makes it feel like very cute, that sort of unbalanced kind of build of having a huge head. So let's see if we can hit that feeling a little bit better. Okay, maybe something like that is okay for now. Let's try to add some arms, that might help. So for the arms, we can just duplicate whatever this is down here. Put it on, go into sculpt mode. There's many different options for sculpting the arms. You could sculpt them like this if you want to rig it or animate it, but I'm just making a basic sculpture here, so I'll just sculpt them down by its side. So this is a case where the inflate brush is very useful. Okay. Feel like we're getting somewhere with this. And these like little cute things can be sometimes deceptively like tricky actually, because you know, the less you have to work with, obviously for the whole thing to look good, you have to make that little bit work, you know. You know, if you have a lot of different elements in your sculpture, you know, it's okay if one or two things aren't really on point, but if you only have a little bit, then everything's gotta be sharp and look good. So we can go in here with a little bit of a trim. Smooth out, get that base shape in. Okay, I need to figure out what that thing on the back is. Like, I need a better reference of that. So... like, what is that? Is it like a little cape with spikes on it? Or is it like a little tail? Okay, I guess it's just like a little blob with some spikes on it. Fair enough, so let's just do that. So we can inflate and then we can smooth. It's kind of just like a hanging blob, like I don't even know what to call this thing. Maybe some Pokemon fans to the rescue. So maybe it's something like this. Okay. Use the scrape brush if you want the surface to be a little bit flatter and these kind of things. It's very good for that. Okay. Feels close to okay, feels close to right. It's also like sometimes you gotta kind of just, you know, take a step back for a moment and then look at it again, and you'll quickly like sort of feel how close you are to the actual concept. Just in general, when you're doing art, like it really does help to take a little 5-minute break and come back. But we don't have the liberty to do that today. We just gotta power through it. Okay, we can pull out some legs like this. So I think that's the better option. You just imagine like a sack of flour and just pull out two ends. Like, I think that's pretty much the shape. Okay, I feel like we're getting closer to something that sort of works. think this one comes up all the way like this. There we go. Now, if you do have questions, just remember I am open to questions, even if it's just about the school or something, or it can also just be 3D related, but not sculpting. I'll be happy to answer the questions I can. Now, if we want to get like a little point, kind of like this here, if we try to pull with the grab brush, you know, we can kind of do it actually. Like, that's not bad. And I might just do that, but let's say you wanted a sharper point. What you can do is go to your brush settings up here at the top, click the fall off, and then change the fall off to a sharp one, and then you get like a super sharp point. Oh, it just undid what I did. So what? Okay, I was on the wrong brush. So right here you can change it to sharp, and then you get that. So you can kind of see the difference. But the normal one is okay for now. So. Okay, we're getting kind of close to having our base shapes done. Boop. Okay, there we go, and maybe we can start painting a little bit too. Just gotta add those tail spikes. Yeah, we can just pull them out like this maybe. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm kind of unsure. So how could we do this? I mean, maybe something like that is good enough, I don't know. You can just pull these out and then probably inflate a little bit to get that softer feeling. Something like that. Okay, I don't really know what these are, but now they're on there. Okay. Let's fix up the beak as like the last thing, and then we're gonna paint a little bit, I think. Scale down the beak a little bit. Alright, and then we just go ahead, move it in. Just looking at the shape as good as I can. Like, nothing's gonna be perfect on the stream, I think. That's okay. Alright, okay, let's move on to painting now. So we're gonna be polypainting for this stream, which means we'll be painting on these points. So the more points you have, the more detail you can have on your painting. So let's see, if we just go into the sculpting mode, you have your paint brushes in here. So I'll just up my remesh a little bit, so let's just double it. So if I go ahead, I can paint like this now. So this, I'll bring out my tablet real quick. I'm just gonna match the concept as well as I possibly can. Okay, I think that's pretty close. So just go in with your paintbrush, and you can start painting. Oops. And remember, you can click Alt Q to switch between the things. If you click X, you can switch your colors around. You have two colors you can change around near your color picker, so you guys can't see that. Let me get out of here for a second. See down here, you can pick a color and then like another color, so you have two at the same time. So if you want to paint something with purple, you can just switch between them to make like some kind of detail here just by clicking X all the time. Okay. So let's start by painting that other blue, and then we'll paint the white on top. Okay, I think that's close enough. So I'll go in with my drawing tablet. So if you're using a tablet, this bottom pen button will be your replacement for the middle mouse. So I'm just using that to rotate around. Most bang for your money. The thing is, if you're looking at stuff spec-wise, the brand Huion is probably very good. Like, the Chinese brands are very good. But at the same time, if you're doing sculpting, what's most important is not necessarily that you have crazy good specs. What's most important is just that it's usable and it's convenient. And the thing is, like, Wacom has been on the market for so long and their software basically always works. It's super reliable. So if you're just doing sculpting, I might recommend Wacom. And they do have some cheaper options too. You can get a Wacom for like $100. For the longest time at home, I had an expensive Cintiq with the screen and everything. But because I'm a sculptor, again, what mattered for me was convenience, so I just used my cheap little $100 tablet instead, even though I had both on my table. So you can go in and you can change the matte cap, which is basically like how the light interacts with the surface here. You have like a bunch of different options. I have Intuos from Wacom and I think it costs like 30 or 40. Well, there you go, yeah. Personally, I like smaller tablets for sculpting. Like, they don't need to be huge. I'm actually not a huge fan of that. Oh. Okay, so I see some of my colors are a little bit off, but it's okay. If you're just looking for a no trouble kind of experience, like, just get a cheap Wacom. But if you like or want to do a lot of drawing and stuff, then you need to think about it a little bit more. Again, I think convenience is one of the most important things. Like, for digital drawing, I got myself an iPad this year. And it's actually very, very nice. I do like it a lot. If you need to color pick, you can go flat color. And then you can color pick, just so you don't get that lighting information when you're color picking. So, boom. Then go back to matte cap. Okay, there we go. And then we can add some white spots to this little thing. Yes, very nice. And then if we really want to be extra, we can add some line too, perhaps. Oops. To add a real nice clean line, you would probably have to up your res a little bit more. So let's just do that. Let's see if we can remesh by still keeping the Polypaint, or if we lose the Polypaint, that'll be interesting. We don't, so we can go in and smooth a little bit. Okay, might just look better without, to be honest. Okay, let's turn on some motion smoothing. So right here. So stabilize stroke, you have the option for that, and then the larger you set the radius, the more motion smoothing there is on your stroke. So you can kind of do that. Okay, that's way too much. My hand is not that shaky after all. So go in, change it a little bit. I'm just gonna manually put in the radius here because I'm having a little bit of trouble. So 3 is fine. Okay, great. Then we can put some around the eyes here. Okay. There we go, and then we can paint the eye in. Okay. So this is kind of the time where it really gets a little bit of character at least. there we go. It's pretty close to done, I'd say. And then remember to save, of course. File, save. Now you can pull it a little bit if you want to. Just remember that you're actually also pulling the mesh. So it's not so good, but you can make like small changes here. Now if you want this line and everything to be cleaner, you would have to you know, use a higher res mesh. So you'd have to go in and then remesh with like, let's try twice the res. Yeah. That is too late now for us. Can go in and clean this up a little bit though. Okay, maybe we should render it for the last bit. So if you want to render it, so to enter the rendered view, it is the top right here. This is not really a part of the stream. This is just if you want to, you can do this thing. So first of all, we gotta make a material for it. So to make a material, you click the properties tab, and then there's this little ball down here. Click the material, click new, and we'll just call it pip loop material. And I'll always go over this in the modeling stream too. This is maybe a little bit more advanced for those that know how to do it. The base color, you can click color attribute. And then it will use the paint that we just used in the sculpting mode as the actual color of the material. So this is a little bit advanced. But I'll just show you all how to do a nice render, and then maybe you all can explore that after the stream as well. So just making like a little studio for our little guy. Change this. Secondary light. There we go, and now we have a little render. You can also move him down so there is not like so much shadow. that's really extra. I'm just preparing a little bit of a screenshot for the Discord, because in a couple minutes we are all gonna be posting a little screenshot of what we have. If you want to, of course. I just like to do it. Okay, so to take a screenshot and post it on the Discord, what you gotta do is hold down Window, key, Shift, S. And then you can take a screenshot. Okay. So after you do that, you can just click Control V into the chat and it'll post it. Like that. So it's fairly easy. So once you're all ready, just take a screenshot and post it. So I'll go in right here and I'll say, oh, it seems a little bit dark, doesn't it? Let's increase the exposure or something. And I'll look in like 1 minute, so if you want me to have a look and share it with everybody, I do recommend it. Like, as well, guys, like, it doesn't even matter if you got halfway through it or you're still doing stuff. Like, we always share it at the end of the stream, and it's a lot of fun to just go through them and see what people did. So Windows Shift S, you get this little thing, just drag it over and then go to Discord and then Control V in the chat and it should work. So I see some people already, so I'll say spot and boom. So I see someone was already posting. That's totally fine that it's not done or anything. Like, if you want to hide all the gizmos and stuff, you can click the show overlays button here and then you hide all of them. Maybe I'll post like an alternative angle. Boop. Yeah, like the fact that you got this far if this is your first time is like already more than enough, you know, so you get a heart for that. It's a good job. Like, stream is just about getting into Blender and kind of like, you know, figuring out how stuff works, and then from there you can always learn more and look up videos and everything like that. Okay, so I'll give it a couple minutes and then see if people are posting. Kim Patrick, what's up? I just realized there was you in the chat. Oh, I didn't notice. How are you doing? How are you doing? Oh shit, I see some more. I won't spoil it, I'll give it a couple minutes, I'll let people post, and then I'll take a look together. Sneaky stuntman, hell yeah. You know, if you don't do the rendered view, you can always just like, you know, like we did before, the sculpting tab, the matte cap, just take a picture like this and hide the overlays right here. Boop, take a picture. Might be even better, to be honest. Super excited to see what you guys will be brewing. Yeah. If you're talking about the project, I'm excited too. We just gotta get through the exam period first, and then we'll get to that. Could you repeat how you made the paint into a material, please? I can definitely do that. So, yep. So if we go into the rendered view here on the top right, you will just see gray because the paint is not a material. So the problem is yours will be just like a solid color that you have to color pick from. We don't want that, so what we do is we click the little base color icon here, and then we click color attribute, and then the vertex paint will be used as the base color. It's really that simple. Okay, let me know in the chat as well if you're taking a screenshot or something. I'll wait a little bit longer for people. Okay. I think that's it. I'm not gonna wait any longer. I wanna look at what people have made. So it's Rayon, the first one after mine. I already looked at that one. That was nice. So very cool. You got the Polypaint and everything on there. I hope you learned a lot. I mean, you get all the main shapes on there. If you want any type of feedback, it'll probably be like the eye shape, you know, they got those kind of Pokemon-esque eyes and all that, but it's very cute, you know. I think it's very good if you're new to sculpting and all that. I think it should probably have been a good learning experience, so you get a heart from me. Good job, pat yourself on the back. Very cute. Didn't really get that far. I mean, that is completely okay, Muffy. I mean, if it's your first time sculpting in Blender, like just getting to the point where you're in the software and using it is already far enough for like an hour and a half. So you get a heart for that. Pat yourself on the back. Had to start over several times, so didn't get very far. Well, same goes to you, you know. If you're new to the software and all that, like just getting that far is already a major step forward, so you get a heart as well. But it's all getting there, you know, it's all getting there. Okay, is there any last submissions before I turn off the stream, people? And do my outro and all that. Sculpting is very hard. Yeah, it can be a challenge, especially something like this. It's like, surely it's easy, right? Like it's so deceptively simple, but matter of fact is that even simple things are very hard sometimes because it's designed well, it's very cute. It's not really that simple under the hood, right? You gotta get everything just right. Very cute curve. It's got that classic penguin posture. I like it. Get a heart from me. Good job. Okay, people. I think it was a good stream. I hope you all learned something. Deceptively difficult concept for today's stream. Whoops, so I will be heading off for tonight. I hope you all... Oh, wait. There's a last one before I go. So Renan, got the modeling, got the polypaint and everything. Same goes to you. I hope you learned something from today's stream. Like, it is hard, for sure it is hard. But you know, you got all the overall stuff in there, so it's cool. I think you can be proud of yourself for learning some Blender and all that. So good job on that. Okay, so I'll be heading off for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all learned something. I'll be back again next week, same time, same place, and we'll be doing modeling. So if you had never tried Blender before and today was your first time, I do recommend the next stream, especially because modeling is like a very good introduction to overall of how Blender works and all that. So I'll see you all next time or later, and I hope you all have a good rest of your night, evening, whatever, wherever you are. Goodbye, good night, see you. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.